All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. Just for council's benefit, for agenda item 7.1, we are going to defer that to the next committee of the whole. I'm going to get some information on behalf of the province with regard to Bill 225. So once I have that information, I'll circulate it to council and we can have that discussion in another committee of the whole. Any other additions?
Your Worship?
Yeah.
One more, and that's with respect to the coordinator of the Strait Area Sting Challenger Baseball Program.
Okay, coordinator.
Challenger Baseball Program.
Sure,
request.
yeah. I think we're familiar with that.
You've had the letter in the package.
Yeah.
You missed the agenda.
Yep. Okay, so we'll deal with that under approved additions. Any other additions? I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Okay, has been moved. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. Okay, the agenda is approved as amended. So we have Jim Mustard with us this evening, who we will invite up to the podium. And this sir needs no introductions. He's been at our council meetings before.
Yeah.
Just keeps coming back,
He's getting
raising
older.
the villages.
I'm
Over to you,
65,
Jim.
I should be retired.
Oh, listen, why would you do that? This is a passion for you. This is a labor of
I just
love.
can't stop.
I know. We don't want you to stop. Over to you.
Keep going. We're not there yet.
Okay.
We're not there yet. So thank you, Mayor, Council, staff, for the opportunity, privilege being back in front of you. I know what it is to sit there and have to listen to people. But I'll try and make it lively. Huey, got the stopwatch going?
I got a 15 minutes.
37 seconds in right now.
You're cutting into your tongue.
So, Raising the Villages, Maui Mijiwaji, translates to Gathering for Our Children. We're located here in Mi'kmaq, and it's the unceded territory, of course, of the Mi'kmaq people, but Raising the Villages is really looking at weaving back together our lives from our infants to our elders across all cultures, to deepen our respect and understanding. So actively being involved. I know that Port Hawkesbury has been actively involved, and I think honoring our dear friend Margaret, who passed away last November. I'll always think about our time in the Bearhead with Shalito, and she said to the mayor, said, couldn't we just change the song? She said, welcome Cape Breton, welcome to Namagi. Bingo, happened. That's powerful leadership right here in the room. So, Raising the Village is a co-op created during the pandemic. We created a multi-sector co-op on the board. Dr. Jasmine Lowry, representative of Inverness, Elizabeth Teasdales with the Strait Regional Education Center, Tracy Gugu, Jordan's principal, Dorothy Bernard, retired pediatrician, Krista McDonald, early childhood educator, and myself, all volunteers. We have one part-time staff who works on the communication side. And we are there. The major objectives are to raise awareness of why the early years, and we know early starts early. Where are you going? Where are you going like that? Oh, it just keeps running around. Maybe it's on a little timer. Maybe this thing's really going to start messing around. Anyways, why the early years, starting really early, is where we begin our lifelong journey for health, physical, mental, learning, relationships. Looking at supporting these intergenerational hubs, and it's treating people to foster that learning and understanding and honoring of the living history of the Mi'kmaq through the gatherings around our shared history and heritage. And to provide the networking, connecting, and strengthen community-based decision-making so that we're partners in this, no matter what it is that we try and support upstream policy. So I'm just going to walk through a little bit of what this is. So mothers always had others to help raise their children. So hands up in this room, if you grew up in an extended family, maybe there was a grandparent in the house or a large extended family. Hands up. Yeah. And is that the norm right now? So
In my world.
in your world. So I was having a meeting upstairs, thank you to Port Hawkesbury for Raising the Villages in January. Finished the meeting with the board, went out to the hallway to use the washroom, and you know the doors over there to the arena? And I'm going like, there's a gathering of 5 young mothers, there was one grandmother and 4 mothers, and all their young children there, so many strollers and someone walking out. I said, I want to know what's happening. They said, well, we met at a parenting group thing, but it doesn't exist, like, it's over. And so we just text each other, and here we come here together. I said, really? That's what's going on? And they're all from away, Vancouver, Toronto, everything else. And I just sort of say, that's why I'm promoting this. It's like, mothers need others, we need each other, and can we not imagine that we'd have a space there for them to gather day in, day out as they please, and include the community so they can meet more people. But it was the strength of a community using the space up there, and most of the kids were like pushing the door and trying to get in and out, and the parents were chasing them and going back out, so it was exercise class. But it was just another example that there's a need in our community. So if it does take a village to raise a child, what does it take to raise a village? And why the earlier, so I just keep going back, this amazing story. I'm gonna go talk to a group up in Badek at Bold about this amazing story of prenatal mothers that Public Health is actually putting prenatal on in person again for the first time in 10 years. And we're going to talk about what an amazing story this is and how those 100 billion neurons you create in the first 6 months in utero create 1 trillion connections by age 3 by the quality of the environments that we grow in. And so this is just showing once again that most of the major developments happen before childcare, which I'm putting it between 1 and 2 years old. So there's a period between prenatal and 1.5, which still doesn't have a very strong kind of imprint in our communities. That could be a place where we're really going to make a difference in the long-term health of our societies. So we look at vision, hearing, emotional control, and it's one of the things I'm going to step in right here. So we received funding this year from the Nova Scotia Mental Health Foundation, and a substantial contribution. And push forward the idea that mental health starts in utero and that first 9 months. So this is the system called fight and flight. You know, when you hear about fight and flight, when people get scared or you see a snake or whatever else, this kicks in. The adrenal glands on top of the kidneys fire cortisol in the system, which allows you to jump up the tree and get away from the tiger. Sweaty palms, all the rest of it. But for an infant, it happens all the time when they are feeling tired, scared, change their diaper, need to be held, hot or cold, hungry, and lonely. So their cortisol in their system goes away, like they need it now. And it's not a blame of the mother, it's why the system needs a whole place. Sometimes the mother needs to take care of herself, was why grandmothers were around, or extended families were around. So that baby always had a response mechanism, which put the adrenal system and shut it down. Because if it doesn't shut down, the switch gets broken. So being a foster parent for years, and I just came from Sydney where I work with veterans, and their switches get broken under extreme trauma. So what happens to them is they get triggered when they're out in public. They get triggered every time they see something that's loud. That happens to veterans when they get this broken, and for infants that don't get held, picked up, loved continuously during that time because there was just not enough, caregivers around, it shows up longitudinally as ADHD, violence, depression, diabetes, malnutrition, cardiovascular disease, memory, immune system, drug and alcohol addiction. That's why I believe the foundation, Nova Scotia Mental Health Foundation, gave us the money. Because we know it's connected really early on, and we've got to get more communities having these gathering spots that really start to support it. And so the politicians need to know that $1 in before that 8-month, 9-month period gives you $8 back. So it's a good investment. As a politician, this is going to make you money downstream. And then as a cost to society, just for, why does that say Inverness County? I thought I switched this line to say Port Hawkesbury. But we'll do the math. We'll do the math. That's for like 13,000 people. So if we divide that 17.2 by, you guys are 3,000 people, we come up around $3 million. It costs us a year in cost to the mental health and the quality of life in our society. This is happening year in, year out. So you can get an $8 back return, plus you can save money. So let's say in Port Hawkesbury, we had 2 centers, one over the Tamarack side, and I keep saying one over this side. It's like $400,000. Multiply that times 8, that's the money you're making as a society, and you're saving yourself. I'm really sorry that slide went like that. And this is what we're talking, is this idea that we could have a center, a coordinated hub that started prenatally, and it's connected all the way through. And instead of families traveling to Andy Guinness to see a pediatrician, or people waiting till they fall down so you can find somebody to help you with your speech and language early intervention, we can be working upstream. we can be there at consistent intervals because it's coordinated. And we can add all the rest of the things we want. We don't have to have food banks if we can have a food secure center that just offers food for people and the dignity of helping their families grow. And it's connected to childcare and it's connected to after school programs. And it's responsive to what we need in Port Hot Spring. That's not a big cost if the space exists. And I keep looking at our space over here. And maybe there's one over there in Tamarack. And we know that about 1 in 3 children are vulnerable when they enter school, which is not genetic. It's not because they came from families that were struggling. It's because we've got a lack of the community response in the early years. And so this is the thing that tells us that we can actually change the dynamic in our communities. So the EDI, which I'm sure the mayor's sisters may be presented to you guys on, is an important tool for us to talk about. And it looks at 5 domains: social emotional, physical health and well-being, communication skills, language, and cognitive and emotional maturity. So you can see it as physical, social emotional, and cognitive skills. It's very robust. In other words, if you have 30% coming into school vulnerable, they're going to show up at the same levels of struggle in grade 3 scores, grade 6 scores, grade 9 scores, and onwards. But it does say that you can go upstream and do some things. So this is Nova Scotia percentages of vulnerability over 4 different waves, starting in 2013, 2015, 2018, and 2020. We have 25%, 25%, 28%, it spiked a bit, 25%. So it's staying pretty steady at 1 in 4. We're a bit higher in this region. And here's one story of an area in BC. So I highlight this because back in 1996, Clyde Hertzman, who's one of the pioneers of the EDI, came and spoke to this community and said, you know, we have 1 in 3 children here vulnerable, and we can do something about it. So that little green area there in Revelstoke is a population of about 7,200 people, 7,100 people. And they started back in 2000 changing the structure of their community to focus on every child matter. And their birth rate went from 40 to over 100 in the past 14 years. I think that's a powerful testament to creating a secure, welcoming community that takes care of families is where you invest in creating a more robust community. So there's their scores, okay? You saw our scores in Nova Scotia were right around 25%. Their provincial score is 32% over the whole province, and they're at 12%, 7%, 10%, 11%, 9%. How did they do it? How did they do it? They had a hub and everything connected around it. How did they do that? The municipal team got together with the person who brought it to the community was the superintendent of schools. Got together the early childhood, started to talk as a community, talk to the business community, and said, this is the way we can actually change the dynamic of our communities. So when I go back to this thing, not that one, I go back to this one, they started right away and they took it down by 20% and held it there. So instead of 1 in 3, they've got 1 in 10 children vulnerable. It's a whole different dynamic in the community. And then they say at the bottom there that the ability to break down the isolation some parents feel in a community has made the biggest difference. And participation of families and young families grew to 95%. That's 9.5 out of 10 families participate in this center. That's what you call making a universal center, not just low socioeconomic or this or this, or for the rich families, it's everybody. So that's the success story. I'm going to see what I got. Oh my gosh, I got 1 minute. So we're working with Department of Mental Health and Addictions and local MMAs. Met with Trevor, MLA, Trevor Brugler right here, one of our colleagues who worked hard for this community. And we're working with Brian Comer, who's the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, which is a part of the Department of Health, recognizing the importance of mental health and addictions. And we're also working with Keith Payne. So we're saying, why can't we just get the pilots here funded? And we're working with the Richmond County Collaborative Network, and we want to expand that network to include Inverness County. You know, why can't we make a bit of an umbrella that's focused on this idea of working upstream? And we held a workshop here on December 5th. There was about 70 people here. Good turnout from St. FX. We're now working with St. FX on developing an annual infographic that becomes a tool for us to inform how we're doing back to the EDI. Like, how are we doing? How many gaps are there in the system, and how many have we filled? And we're supporting development of pilot sites, Bay St. Lawrence, Bold and Bidak, We're continuing to work with the Port Hawkesbury Welcoming Community Group and Richmond County. And I'm not giving up because I think time means everything. Time means everything. This was from the Bearhead, there's Rosie Silverboy. We had a good turnout from the Mi'kmaq community and great conversations for the first time in a long time. And we've worked with the ASI, and they have a policy brief that's gone out to the Atlantic Premiers that really talks about this upstream, and they've included models like Bedeque and Bay St. Lawrence in there. This is the way you can fund evidence-based models that can really start to create more welcoming communities from the beginning of life. So there's our model. We're not leaving CBRM out for any other reason that they've got a lot on their plates and they can start to focus in. I'm taking care of my life, rural communities that I really have learned to love and appreciate the importance of our rural communities having more strengths right now for services to come to them, more strengths for us to find each other, from our infants to our elders. And I think we've got some models that we can start to grow on in Bedeque. And there's the Bold Center in Bedeque with the first public health Bold Beginnings that just started and is now bringing together families. And Stephanie McNeil, it was her idea. She went to her manager and it's now going to go forward. And she wants to keep with the families right through. So even after they've had their baby, she'll keep the families going. That center is open, no cost to the families. And when you go into Bedeque, just check it out. Like, go in there. They bought the Kidston Landing, the community bought that building, which is a powerful determinant to say, we will care about our families in the center of this village. And Bay St. Lawrence is, once again, that's a pioneering community that retained the old school. When you go up there, good cafe, great new clothing store, lovely center they have for raising the villages in there. So I keep saying, let's our youngest citizens become the North Star to guide us and be reminded that our children are gifts from the Creator and that they are here to be our teachers. We just need to provide space for them to teach us. That's our Del Arcan and Sound First Nation quote. That's why. Will Allen, merci very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. Does council have any questions? Maybe we'll start with Councilor McCrory.
No, Your Worship, through you, thanks very much, Jim. Appreciate the presentation. I have no questions.
You?
No, thanks, Jim. That was good and it's pretty impressive what's going on. Thank you.
15 minutes, not too bad.
You did really well. You did
You
good.
did well.
You had a stopwatch out and everything. Mark?
No, I have no questions, Your Worship.
Yes,
Thank you,
ask,
Jim, for the
yeah.
presentation. As always, interesting, very good.
And thanks for this council for the support over you.
Just want to know, is there an ask, Jim?
Yeah, I think we did $1,000 last year. I know you're in budget right now. If we could do that again, Richmond County's contributed $3. Inverness County just did a presentation. They're asking them for $3 in Victoria County. So if we could do $1,000 again, it means we got skin in the game, and we're working at this. As I said, I think we've got a pretty good opportunity for Eastern Nova Scotia and our rural communities to be the model, just like pre-primary was back when Rodney was. We can actually be the place where this starts. I believe it. I'm not going to give up.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you so much
Thank you.
again for your support and your time.
No problem. Just before you leave, I know Terry and I feel like we had this conversation, I want to say 3-ish years ago, where we thought wouldn't it be amazing till it just completely turned the whole concept around libraries on its head and incorporate a lot of this into what that kind of new library structure could be, like a place for everyone. Everyone can feel welcome and belong. Everyone can get the resources that they need. But no more of that, 1970s or 1980s, where you just be there and be seen but not heard, just to kind of change that whole concept on its head, just to create that space.
I think that's the type of planning we can put in place now when we're looking at creating a hub or a library, how we can create the human side of that library.
Exactly. It's just something that I know Terry and I have talked about that idea quite often, but just wanted to throw that out there that we're always kind of trying to figure out what that.
In whatever way we can envision and open up that process of planning so we can talk about what it might mean to have a place that's not just about books, but it's about people being alive.
People oriented.
And I will be here Thursday. We're doing a local food piece with,
Your other side hustle.
And I know Christine Villeneuve, who's the public health officer, can I
Yes.
bring my kids there the day of school? I said,
Of course.
yeah, that's what this is about, going back to your thing. That's all.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come and present to us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
No, I appreciate being together and who I consider to be, friends, do fun stuff together. Great time. Anyway, thanks,
Great,
Jim.
Thanks,
great.
Jim.
Okay, we'll move on now to council reports on assigned committees. We'll start with Mark.
Yes, Your Worship, the 11th, Police Advisory Meeting, the 12th, the Budget Meeting, the 17th, the Waterfront Advisory Meeting, and the 18th, Budget Meeting.
And we all know about those budget meetings.
Love them.
Okay,
They're exciting.
over to you, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, and I also was at the police and the waterfront meetings with Councilor Ivor. We also had SAT meetings, and we had some Festival of the Straight meetings.
How's the planning going for festival this year?
Good, great. Actually, we secured the band for we're having down at the waterfront this year, rather than in here. And we ordered the tent, and the tent's coming, and it's all good.
Awesome.
Councilor Corey is on board this year with me, and he's doing a great job.
Fantastic. Okay, over to you, Councilor McCoy.
Yeah, Your Worship, so Britain South Recruiting for Health, March 23rd. March 24th, SAT, myself and Warden Umrickett and Deputy Warden Sampson had a conference call with Greg Sewell from the province regarding rural transportation. In particular, talking about the option of developing a fixed route for Richmond County. So he just went over the ins and outs of what was involved in order to look at that. We had Festival Straight, March 28th, and we had festival last night. At SAT meeting on the 29th, we had the Strait of Thames Offshore Wind Task Force on the 11th. We had SAT meeting, on the 14th, and Waterfront Advisory last night. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. So I will definitely fill the gap. I'll do a couple of verbal updates, but then anything that I might have missed, I'll written form and circulate to council. On March 28th, we had an invite by the municipality of the County of Guysborough, just to give us a little bit of an update on their development projects. So Terry and I and Richmond County CAO and Warden traveled to, and I think Martin was there as well, traveled to Guysborough just to see what exciting new developments that they have on their radar and how that relates to the broader green hydrogen and offshore wind opportunity. So that was on March 28th. And of course, in addition to, there's no need to repeat any of the updates that of the meetings that I was also in attendance. It's been already reported. I will note also that on April 13th, we had the Community of Care Gala. Gina did a wonderful job organizing that gala through Cape Breton South Recruiting for Health. Very well attended. Some positive remarks are still rolling in, so definitely appreciated by our medical health care professionals in attendance. So great job there. I had the pleasure of attending Techsploration. I saw Mark there on April 14th. I had the opportunity to MC that event. I think girls from grade 9 to grade 12 who have the opportunity to be mentored in the trades, sciences, and technology. Fantastic opportunity to participate with that. April 17th and 18th, of course, I whizzed back from the Smart Energy Conference that was hosted by Nova Scotia Power at the Westin just yesterday and today. So that was a really great conference, lots of wonderful information. I participated on 2 different panels. The first panel yesterday, I participated on a panel with Mike Savage, the mayor of Halifax, as well as David Mitchell, the mayor of Bridgewater, just talking about municipalities and the work that we have ahead in preparing for net zero. Also, I presented in terms of some of the collaborations that we're doing together as between municipalities as well as other stakeholders. Today, I also presented on a panel with regard to opportunities for offshore wind import infrastructure. So, yeah, I guess those are my updates for now. Anything that I've missed, I will try to get in written form and circulate to council. As always, if you have any questions, you know how to find me. Is there anything else that anybody want to add? Okay, we'll move on to CAO reports. Over to you, Terry.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So, yeah, I'd like to call on Jason to come up and give the engineering and public works presentation.
Thank you, Terry, through your worship. In this update, I want to provide you with a little bit more of a detailed traffic sign report. So if you look at some of the tables, we'll just provide a little more detail on traffic trending given certain times of day and a little more detail on speed data. So those tables were provided with your agenda package. Public Works, the staff installed a 2-inch water service connection on McSween Street recently. This is for a sprinkler service for building at 299 Reed Street, which is being converted to a daycare. It was a challenging excavation. As you can see, there's a bell line duct bank right in the middle of the excavation, which is heightens the risk with those types of digs. And happy to report that everything went really well. Also, the staff have been putting time into cleaning catch basins throughout town, research as well. Since the time of this report, we've been sweeping sidewalks, we've been doing a host of other maintenance activities. Water main break, which I sent you an update on last night, so we're finished up around 1 a.m. this morning from that repair. Next slide. Looking at our water systems upgrade projects, we recently concluded a procurement exercise for Pitt Street water tank, and currently the submission is being reviewed by our consultant, Straight Engineering. Pricing we received was within range of the budget estimates, and we hope to move forward very soon. We prepared our UARB to which we hope to send off to notify them of spending funds from the utility for that project. We're also working through final review of the Pitt Street tank valve controls building section of the work, McDonald Street PRB building, district metering on Queen Street, Timrack tank demolition project. The contractor mobilized it today. We'll see some action there tomorrow. And Straight Engineering continue to prepare spec and drawings related to the water treatment plant roof repair and some other works there. Reporting to environment, happy to report that our annual system assessment report and the water utility annual report were submitted in advance of deadline. Public Works building design, continue to work through design with Archibald Fraser. I provided a couple of concept examples in your agenda package. On the 12th of this month, we hosted a meeting with Archibald Fraser and Public Works staff, which is a very, very good use of time. It's important for the architect to fully understand the design needs of staff and for them to have input through that process. So I think we're just happy with the outcome of that meeting and want to report in the future. Procurements, we've recently posted an RFP for engineering services for active transportation design sidewalk replacement. You're all familiar with that project, so that's closing later this month. And we've issued the request for quotation for streetline painting for this year. In addition to this update, there's been a ton of activity on property matters and persons of interest on properties in town, Landry Lake updates, and all those sorts of things. So happy to field any questions.
Any questions for Jason at this time?
Nope.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your next runner up there.
It's right here, he's gonna talk about.
You
the,
didn't even, you
facilities
didn't even
management.
have to beckon him. He
Facilities
just popped right up.
operations Parks. General Manager, Gordy Smith.
To you, your worship, a brief report on some activity in my department. So here at the Civic Center, we hosted the under 13 Atlantics, female hockey Atlantics a couple weeks back. It was really nice to host the and see the development in the younger female hockey in our quad counties. They were really happy with the venue and the staff here. They could have taken that event anywhere in the quad counties, but they came here and they're really happy they did. So we're looking forward to working with them next year and possibly expanding a bit and having some more quad counties. They've already reached out inquiring about some ice for another UAD team to be hosted or to host the play at a facility that call it home based also. So we'll be working on that over the summer. Jumping down to the food bank, we're about 85% complete there. We hope to have that project wrapped up by the end of April. Interior renovations are ongoing. We're getting to flooring tomorrow. The drywall painting and trim that we see here in the list is pretty much complete. We'll just leave us probably some landscaping and some site grading and stuff into May and June, but we'll get that done. We do have some additional borehole testings that we'll have to have done away from the building, but we're not sure of that. We're waiting for confirmation from the Stantec on those exact locations, and we'll get that work done. That's referring to I think it was the year 2000 file that's been open since then on the exterior oil tank ruptured. We've been cleaning that up ever since. Still no word back on the summer students. I chatted with MP Callaway last week at an event here, and he had no word either. He was hoping we'd hear something early this week, but nothing yet. Airport committee has moved to get some work done, some paving improvements done on the road into the airport, and the roof is scheduled to be shingled in June on the office building there. Accessibility committee, our next meeting is in May 1st. We still haven't heard back on our application, our funding application. We're hoping that'll be a success, and we can move on with our priorities into the summer. That's my brief report for this month, and happy to have any questions.
Thanks, Gordy. Any questions for Gordy at this time? I got the food bank looks some sharp.
It is coming nice,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm getting lots of great feedback about how wonderful it looks.
Yeah.
Much more welcoming, you
Sure,
know.
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Very positive. Good.
Thanks, Gordy.
Thank you.
Rosie?
Just have to flip the screen and just kind of I like your style there.
Yeah.
Lower.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks, Michelle. So Michelle's going to give us a presentation on marketing, recreation, tourism, culture, and yeah, over to you, Michelle.
Thank you, Terry. Through your worship. Deliver my brief report on the recreation department, starting with the trails as usual. All the grant reporting and new grant applications have been concluded for trail expansion and trail maintenance funding. So the reports for last year and then the new applications for this year. I'm currently assisting the Trails Association with a summer employment posting. What we realized over the last 2 summers was that you kind of need a certain kind of person to want to work the trails. So we thought we would just streamline that and have them put out their own job posting, but then we would also assist with interviews and hiring if they need. So that's going to be going out shortly. And I know that so far they received funding for 1 student so far through the LANCE program, so the Labor and Advanced Education Youth Employment Program. So that's great news. I know they're pushing for another. So, and of course, we'll assist them wherever they need support. As far as recreation programming, we just released the spring flyer, as you've all seen in your mailboxes and all around, hopefully. And we opened up registration on April 12th. And then for the pool, so because of the weather over the last number of Fridays, we've had to push the winter session of swimming lessons just for those Fridays up to April 21st. So normally we have a little bit of a gap and a break to prepare for the next session of lessons, but we're actually going right to the end and then starting the new session of lessons right away. So it's very busy at the pool. And registration has been really busy. Some of the lessons have actually filled out within minutes. So just really, again, speaks to the need for those types of programs at the pool. Some of the levels do have wait lists, but we usually do a really good job at shifting a few things around, and our instructors are really flexible, so we're usually able to accommodate the wait lists. The water exercises and water fitness is growing in popularity, so we're offering 5 classes a week now, and they're very busy. And we're also partnering again with the Autism Nova Scotia Strait Area chapter to offer water awareness and basic swim skill programs. Birthday parties, again, really busy at the pool. They're filling up really quickly on Saturdays and Sundays, and then we do the inflatable popsicle course one Sunday per month, and that's always just really, really busy. As far as other programs, we have dance, fitness, cooking, youth gardening, pickleball, some trail adventures, and we have some new instructors that came on for the spring. So we hope to continue to grow our instructor and our offering list. One example is actually just before the flyer came out, we had a facilitator come forward wanting to do a basketball program, and it filled up in less than 1 day. So we actually had to add a session, and they are both maxed. And one of them is actually over full, but the facilitator agreed to take a couple of extra kids. So between those 2 sessions, there's 43 children in that program. So basketball is a really popular one. So
apparently that's
we continue to offer that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We started preparations for summer programming. You'll see the posting go out for summer positions. Even before we probably know how many we're going to get, just so that we're really prepared and we have all those resumes ready to go when we're ready to start interviewing. And we're, again, exploring the option of hosting a summer camp, provided that we can get the right kind of facilitators to run that program. So it's looking good. I think we'll be successful in that. Just to touch again on the U13 AAA Female Atlantic Hockey Championships, I worked pretty closely with the group, with the organizing group, and really again great feedbacks on the hospitality, just the environment here, the ice quality, the friendliness of the staff, and just overall quality of the facility, and lots of great comments from visiting teams. About how everything was nice and central, their hotel was close, there were restaurants nearby, so those are all the things that we want to hear. And it was a lot of fun, and they were really easy to work with, so it was just fantastic. A couple of events coming up. On May 19th, we've got the flag raising and friendship gala coming up, followed by the Red Tribe boxing event on May 20th. And of course, Granville Green, full speed ahead, planning Granville Green already. And then in October, Matt Minglewood, and November, the Rain Maid and Chantal Kraviasov. That's actually a confirmed November 18th. It's not in my report, but it is November 18th. And some other things coming up. We're heading into graduation and prom season, and we have a circus coming up as well. So lots of great things coming up. As for funding, the only new update I have on that is that we were successful in receiving $2,000 from Atlantic Lottery Corp for Granville Green. So that's the only change from last time. And I also completed another application to Enbridge and requested $5,000 from them. In marketing and media, again, just to touch on the total page likes, they just keep creeping up every single month. 4,266, kind of a bigger jump this month to 4,321. So always good to see those numbers growing. And that is it for this evening.
Thank you.
Questions?
Any questions for Michelle?
Through your worship.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you, Michelle. The mention that the pool offers the inflatable outdoor course for parties rentals one Sunday per month, which is always a big hit. Could it be offered more than one Sunday, or is there a limitation to do it more than one Sunday?
Well, what we're finding now is because we've grown the other programs, it's really hard to fit it in because it takes about an hour and a half to set it up and then about an hour and a half to 2 hours to take it down. So it's quite taxing and laborious to get it out. But I will look into that and see if maybe we can pop it in somewhere else for sure.
And the marketing, the website revamp and the branding. So that's been ongoing for a while.
Yes.
So is there a kind of an end date in mind when that's going to be completed, or?
I don't have a date per se, but I did do a check-in actually just this week. And what they're working on so how they do it is NovaStream is working on the navigation part, so the back end and how a person would navigate through, so all your tabs and your pathways, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. I don't speak the language, but once the navigation part is done, they will actually present that back. And then the graphics team will start working on placing the graphics into the website. So it will probably take a few months, I figure, from start to finish.
When did it start?
The date, I want to say a month or so.
Oh, okay. I thought it was longer than that. Sorry. Yeah.
Any other questions?
That's fine.
Okay, thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
So over to Aaron, who's just finished a very long budget meeting with.
Thank you.
Better not take-
Thank you, your worship. Yeah, so, budget, year end, and tax bills will be forthcoming. I was hoping to have them out this week, but it's probably going to be next week. So, just
Looking forward to those.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thanks, Aaron.
thank you.
thanks for the good news.
Is that it?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions about your tax bill? I'm scared.
Give me a call.
Okay, thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
Anything remaining for the CAO report, Terry?
No, your worship.
All right, so we're gonna move on to other business. Volleyball Cape Breton funding request.
So your worship, council has a request from Melanie McDonald. Melanie is coaching, coordinating 3 volleyball teams from Volleyball Cape Breton, 3 teams from this region. And that is the under 14 performance team, which is going to Newfoundland, and under 13 team, and there's one other team as well. So they're going to provincials, and then there's one team, the performance team is going to Newfoundland as well. There are members from Port Hawkesbury. They're looking for some funding to help them complete their tournament play, both provincially and in the Atlantics. The request is actually quite small. It's they're looking for approximately $200.
What's the wishes of council?
Is that for the 3?
Is that $200 for each?
No, I think it's a small request, and they realize that we get a lot of this, and so Melissa has been some discussion with Melanie, and that they'd be happy with the donation in the amount of a couple $100.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say this, I'm not asking very much. Usually when Historically, if they were going out of province, they would get more.
Yeah.
We always had that, I don't know if it was a policy or not, was it, Aaron, did we have a policy on that?
So,
I think it
There's a
was,
policy, yeah,
it was going out of province.
but I don't know if it's $500. I'm not sure what the amount.
Yeah, if they were going
I
out
think
of
the
I think it was more if they were going out of province or something, but anyway, if that's what they're asking, that's not much. I would support the $200 for sure at our next,
Sure. So,
next meeting.
Councillor McIver.
yes, Your Worship, I would support it.
Councillor McCoy.
Yes, Your Worship.
Okay, we'll move that forward then. The next item is heavy garbage collection.
Yes, Your
Most
Worship.
wonderful time of the year.
Yes.
Christmas.
It is Christmas for some people, too.
We have Christmas trees.
Sorry, Terry.
Lots of gifts at curbside.
It was a long drive home, just
Yeah.
ignore
I
me.
think we're all there today after meeting after meeting after meeting. So Monday, May 15th, the week of Monday, May 15th, that's the week before the long weekend. So it's a excellent time to have this. We're lucky we were able to get that time. So there's a flyer that I think we've circulated on the curbside collection. It tells you what you can put out, what you can't put out, and other places to dispose of other waste. So, anyway, we'll ensure that this is posted on our website, and we'll get some radio announcements out as well as to when this is occurring.
Fantastic. Any questions?
Your Worship, so Terry, is it for the week of May 15th? Is that how?
That's right.
Yeah, it is for the week, right?
So you have to have it out. You have to have it out on the first day.
Yeah.
But they'll collect throughout the week.
Right. Yeah.
So we're asking folks to have their stuff at the curb as of
May 15th.
May 15th. What is it, 7 a.m. on May 15th or something like that?
We just say all acceptable items must be curbside no later than 6 a.m. Monday, May 15th.
6 a.m., sorry.
So they can start the week before.
Right.
So do not place material curbside before Monday, May 8th,
So
in accordance with
from
Section 8.
Monday, the 8th. Right. I think people have generally been getting better at that. I mean,
Absolutely.
we used to have it out a month in advance. Woo.
Yeah.
Curbside shopping for like 4 weeks. Anyway,
The timing is really important, and the week before the long weekend, I think, helps as well.
absolutely. No, that's a great time to have. Any questions for Terry at this time?
I just got a question, Terry, through you, Your Worship. I don't know if it's got to do with obviously it's not the heavy garbage collection, but it's Councillor Corey just brought it. And I noticed it the other day when I was going to divide all the Christmas trees that are down at the old ball field. What are we gonna do with that?
They will be chipped, and I haven't got a chance to ask Gordy. I've been meaning to do that for quite some
Come
time.
on up, Gordy.
For sure.
I just put another one there last week, though.
Yeah.
So it was handy to have that.
So annually, we get the chipping machine through Asplund out of Benek, and it's a complimentary gift to us for the day of chipping, and we had the machine twice, and it mechanically failed on us, so I think we do have it booked for next week, next Tuesday.
Wasn't that usually done in February,
It's usually done in January,
January?
not long after Christmas. yeah.
Because once it's done, there's a lot of people usually go down and grab.
They will be done, it's just that we're late,
Okay, no,
really
that's
late,
good.
and it was put off a couple of times.
We didn't forget it.
They've got so many chippers, and when one goes down, we're probably at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So the next is the Fibromyalgia Awareness Day.
Yes, Your Worship, so from the Fibromyalgia Association of Canada are requesting us to participate in a program, and they're asking on May 12th, which is the 31st anniversary of Fibromyalgia Awareness Day, as recognized by the World Health Organization, WHO, I am contacting you and asking you if you would light up the Port Hawkesbury Town Hall in purple in recognition of the 2 to 4% of Canadians living with fibromyalgia. That's over 1.5 million people, Canadians. So they're asking us to light up the building in purple on that evening.
It's like a neurological disorder, fibromyalgia.
Yeah,
Arthritis.
it's
It's like
autoimmune. It's an autoimmune disease that affects your nervous system and with a lot of pain and mobility issues.
Are we gonna light her up purple?
What's, what is it? To light the
They
building?
wanna
So they want to have a spotlight on they want the purple lit up, the building lit up in purple for that night, starting at sunset and going to sunrise the following morning, May 12th. We have to look at what we're going to do to actually accomplish that. How do we get a purple spotlight on the building? But we can do something to show that purple light over that period of time.
Sounds good.
So will we, I think, even if we do a little promotion a couple days beforehand, that way at least people will know what the purple light means.
Yes, we can get we can get a story on the website and some information out. And if you're approving this will be ratified at the public meeting as well. So we can we'll get some press on that as well.
Thanks, Terry. What's the wishes of council?
Support that.
We'll move that forward. Okay. The next item is for your consideration. It can be moved forward to the next meeting. It's a potential resolution on the RCMP retroactive pay for costs. It's something that came from FCM, and it certainly will be council's purview as to whether or not we want to participate. Lots of other councils across the country are putting it forward in terms of since municipalities are shouldering the cost, that it's pertinent that municipalities also be at the decision-making table. So it's up to council as to whether or not that's something that we want
I
to
agree.
participate in.
I agree to move it forward.
Okay. And if council, we certainly, when we circulate the council agenda, we'll have that resolution in the package as well, again, for your review, if you're okay with moving it forward. And it literally verbatim came from FCM, and the language is presented to you.
And your worship, when this comes to the public meeting, we have the information inserted in the appropriate spot, because it indicates a spot there for the cost estimate.
Yeah.
If available.
Yep, I can do that. Actually, Aaron, we don't have the exact costs at this point. But possibly, I don't know, Aaron, by the time we have our public meeting, if we may know that. I know we earmarked some money for it.
So if your worship, if we don't have it, can we just amend, take that line out if we?
Or we can even note that at this point, we don't even know what the burden will be.
It's, your worship, yeah, whatever it is, it's gonna cause burden,
Yeah.
whatever the amount is. So.
Yeah. 100%. Okay, so, Deputy Mayor, do you have any questions?
No, that's fine.
So we're okay to move that forward? Okay, as a resolution? So we have one approved addition, Challenger Baseball. We're ready for that item.
Good. Thank you. So we have a letter was in your package from Dean Marchand. Dean is the coordinator of the Strait Area Sting Challenger Baseball. So Challenger Baseball is a program that provides an opportunity for children and youth with cognitive, sensory, and physical disabilities to enjoy the full benefits of participating in organized baseball at a level structured to their abilities. Buddies are assigned. And so we had a presentation last year from Dean, who talked about the program and the advantages, and it was well presented to him. At that time, he had asked for some space to do a get together with the children who are participating in the program. But in this call this year, as the program advances, he's asking for some funding in the amount of $1,000 to contribute to the advancement of this project in the Strait area.
What's the
Your
wishes?
Worship,
I agree to
would
move
support this.
forward to
Sure.
public meeting.
You're our main baseball connection here.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
Can't say I can't support it, but that's, yeah, I support it, yeah.
Okay, we'll move it forward to the public meeting. So our future meetings.
So
Sorry,
Your Worship,
did you have a question on the Challenger baseball
Yes, I
stuff?
do,
Okay,
sorry.
go ahead.
So, I mean, we have the request. Is it something that we would move forward to our next budget meeting and make a decision in the budget meeting as to,
We can.
and then bring it forward to the public meeting?
That makes sense.
Yes.
Can do that.
We have a budget for donations anyway in our
I
budget.
I suspect if all things go well for next Wednesday or Thursday, we can deal with it then. And if I don't want to jinx it, but if we may be ready to approve in part of the budget for the next council meeting, great, but yeah, have to have a special public meeting, that's okay too. Next, meetings, future meetings. Did you have any other, you're good? So we have a public meeting on May 2nd, followed by committee of the whole on May 16th. I would ask for a motion of adjournment.
So moved.
Do you have a seconder?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks everyone for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you,
I'll
Your
ask for
Worship.
a budget and a financial statement.